I'm gonna give a quick update on the Native spring blade rudder system. Did the upgrade a week or so ago. Posted a video on it, install wise. Basically on my wife's 13, it worked fine. I had it a little tight, but not a big deal. I just loosened this up a hair, and it works fine. It has a nice smooth action. You can see here, no problem whatsoever. One little issue is the quarter turn adjustment here is not enough. I pretty much had to knock it down with my paddle for her, and once it was down, it's fine. Turning capabilities and tracking were amazing. First time you hit that thing at full speed, it feels like it's going to knock you out of the kayak. So that's good. Tracking when trying to go straight is way improved. You're not constantly adjusting. So kudos on that. It was great. So no issue. Got just enough play in it to make it nice. On my Slayer, as you can see, I have mine tore apart. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. When we first got in, I couldn't get mine to deploy either. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to get mine kicked down, so I just had to wait till gravity or flow backwards against the water, whatever, actually allowed it to work properly. I did the Burley Pro handle on this one, and it's a great feel. It did a lot of good for it, but we got out on the water, and mine wouldn't deploy at all, not at all. Come to find out, when I got home and looked at it, this had popped out, which I had touched on in my other video, that I thought that could potentially do that. It's just a clip style, it doesn't have the retaining pin. And I said it'd be great if that actually just popped out, and of course it did, lost all spring tension. One thing that I could not do, I could not turn. I'm dealing with some arthritis, some tendonitis in my elbow, and you're talking that I could turn to the right because I'm pretty strong that way, but going back left hurts pretty bad right now. I was having to turn my hand over and just crank on it, and I thought for sure I was going to break something. So I'm going to show you the difference here. Here's my original plate. I'll put it on here. No problem. Nice and easy back and forth. The new plate. Let me get the cable off there. Can barely turn it. It wedges. It's too big. It's too big here, the diameter, versus that one. And you're not gonna be able to see it on the video, but I can see them side by side. This is way larger. It is just digging into this hole. So you think that's the only problem? Nope, it's not. Let me get my original here. Oh, it's on the floor already. So here's my original. I'll put it up here. See how nice and loose that is? Back and forth. Spring blade, which, hold on while I'm gonna have to get the cord through it to show you. Okay, I had to get the cord up to show you guys. The spring blade, no wiggle, wedges in there. So this thing wedged both underneath here and on the top plate. It was impossible. I had to get out at one point on the dock, and I was trying to figure out a way to loosen this up, and just absolutely couldn't get it to run. So I fought that all day. Couldn't go very far. We were in a tournament. I'm not going to say it caused me any issues in the tournament. I didn't do terrible for what it was, but it caused a pretty big issue. I mean, if I had been out on our next QC event on Jordan and needed to move some water, and this had happened, it'd probably put me out. I literally just couldn't do anything with it. It was a straight shot and just cranking on the handle. It's impossible. So I'm gonna sand these discs down and make them small enough to fit rudder and the top disc, so that I don't have that wedging issue. I guess it would help if I showed y'all how I'm gonna do this. Basically, I'm taking a Dremel with a sanding drum on it and going around the disc. I've done quite a bit of work to it already. I noticed the old one had a chamfer right here and this one didn't, so I added one. I've got it run down to the point to where I can put it in the hole and twist it, and it'll polish up the high spots. Let's face it, when you're doing it by hand, you're not gonna get it perfect. Can't go too fast, it'll melt. So you gotta wait and between, I let it cool off between goes, and then I've been hand sanding it to smooth it back out. So I'm gonna show you how I'm doing it. I'm letting the tool do the work to go around for me. So I'm putting it high and then just letting the tool drag itself around. And it only needs to be on the very first, like, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch. Make sure it's not too hot. Then I'm taking and just sanding down the rough edges and test fitting it little by little. Then I'm placing it in this hole, and you can see it's already much better. I can turn it now. And I'm just doing this around in circles, and that'll kind of add a shine to where it's high. So I got a couple shiny spots there, a couple shiny spots right there. But it's going. I think I'll be able to get that, and then I got to work on the underside. All right, I'm finally done with the disc part of it. And here's the factory one again, for example. Pretty loose. I can pretty much free spin it if it fits the spot. Now, this disc, not quite as loose, but I can push down on it, and it moves pretty easy without getting wedged. Let's go to the bottom. All right, so what I'm doing on this side, not really using the Dremel, can't get in there very good. I hope you guys can see it. It's hard to tell on that little screen. Ignore my mess. I'm just taking emery cloth, which that's pretty wore out already. If any of y'all have ever done any kind of industrial maintenance work on a shaft, clear a little rust off of it. Basically doing the same thing, just working my way around it, trying to take enough material off to make it fit in that hole without wedging. I already test fit it once. It was pretty close, so I think we're doing pretty good for it, and it'll be usable. Still don't know what I'm gonna do about that clip. I might drill a couple small holes in it and try to make my own form of retaining pin, I guess. It feels pretty good. It fits in the hole now, like it's supposed to. I get it a little bit of a bind sideways there. I'm gonna take just a little more off of it. It's still a little too tight for me. I need some room for expansion and such, but I think it'll be okay. We'll get it. Alrighty. No harm, no foul. That's how it should be. I should be able to take that and move it just like that. Now it's got a little pop to it right there. Looks like that cable's catching on something. So the cable pop right about here is a seam where the mold was put together. It just wasn't quite cleared up. Took a knife, cut that off, and now it's smooth as silk. So. I don't want people to think that I'm just a big complainer. I'm not. I love the Native. It's a good kayak. I like that they're in my backyard, Fletcher, North Carolina. And they employ local people, help the local economy, so that's great. I've had nothing but great service going in there. I took my drive in for a warranty repair. They handled no problem, gave me a loaner. The loaner allowed me to fish 2 tournaments, one of which I won. But then again, I am extremely honest, sometimes brutally. If there's a problem with something, I will say it, but then I'll try to fix it too. I bought this secondhand, used, no big deal. Overall, the difference in the steering is absolutely amazing with this rudder. The tracking, you get a little annoyed, especially early in the mornings, which is cool, having to constantly adjust, especially when the cables are loose. So being able to take that rudder and put it down and barely have to touch the tracking while going straight, especially if you're fishing, going into the wind, with moving bait like a buzz bait or a spinner bait, that's awesome. But the turning, like I said, when you get moving and you turn it like you think you need to and that thing tips over, you're like, whoa. So
heck of an upgrade. Mine just had a little issue, bought it secondhand. It's one of the original ones. As many times as I dropped the rudder installing it the first time, it's no wonder that the clip came loose. I didn't even think to check it. Definitely could have happened then. So we'll see how that goes. And if it don't work out, I'm sure I could get that pin purchased and put that new one in. So there's a lady at the house right there.
Taking the dogs out.
I know why that clip came loose. I have 2 clamps pushing that clip together to try to get them teeth to engage, and they won't do it. I mean, I have forced and tried and pushed and pried. I guess that's why they changed it to the other style. I can't get it. I mean, I've tried everything. I mean, I've got 2 clamps, and they're not super tight. They're soft jaw. I got 2 clamps pushing on that. I know it's hard to see. I can't get them. If I let these loose, I'll let that loose. Actually, it actually took. No shit. I have fought this for over an hour. I bet that won't hold. No, it's not in there. Just pops right out. Shit. So after fooling with this thing for a while and then giving up, I decided to take it apart. I did finally get it together, and there were 2 things that I did. One, this spring was backwards. So you want it this way, towards the front and on the top here. If you turn it this way, where I would say they're towards the front and the bottom, when you wind the spring up, it uncoils it, which forces it out, which spreads all this apart. So do it this way. You can see it's a little sprung from it. Do it this way, and it turns the correct direction. But after I got it, it finally, it worked. I had to force the pin in the middle of the clip, and that's what was holding it up, causing it to be so difficult. I said, you know, this is ridiculous. So I Googled it real quick, and of course a YouTube video comes from Native, where they say, you know, here's the upgraded ones to your dealer. So I walk in with my old one, I show it to the guy at the desk, and he says, oh. He walks away, comes back with that. The same thing my wife says. So basically, if you just take that other clip, if you've got it, to your dealer that you bought it from, and just basically show them that clip, they'll give you this one. So I'm gonna pop this in and see how easy it is. All right, it's in. And it's tensioned up. And the clip's in there. And it ain't coming out because of the cotter pin. It's, yeah, if you got that old style, get rid of it. Go get the right one. That should solve my problems. Now I can too have an awesome rudder like my wife has. So that's it. I hope that if you buy this upgrade that you don't have the same trouble I did with mine. But if you do, it's correctable. I guess you could take it back and hope for the best. But I'm one of those people, I got it, especially used, I'd rather just go ahead and fix it. So I just sanded that down a little bit, made the plate where it could run. Got the updated clip, which was super easy. Go in the dealer, grab one and leave. Of course, Big Adventures is my local one, so they make a lot of the stuff there. You might not be as lucky as that, you might have to wait. But anyway, I got mine in a day, and now it turns, it springs. I'm still going to do a different pad eye type setup. I looked at them there, but I didn't like the Yak Attack ones. They're too big. I'm going to get something different. But that should hopefully keep me going. I'm probably going to take my spare rudder and disc with me to the Jordan tournament. I do not want to be 4 hours from home and have an issue and not be able to fix it. So stay tuned.